water ke wala kay tali jomo sarja subake nde commence ni damo ndi kay tali fi jomore bambe jenka mo jak lele anu melan dan sana ma melam lebi fanfa akala ka wona bunu je be to ko le ko ni la kana ka tun sinni mu je le jandu le ni go wonu je be to ko le en e je mo baje mo no lu gala bu kele ka anu to fo mo jak meto ko mo baje mo meno le ko mo jak.
When we're thirsty, we just go and get water. But getting water here means spending the whole day walking in absolutely crazy temperatures. It's a completely different situation.
So I think it's interesting, the water crisis is on probably many different levels in Africa. I mean, there's one is the access to water in general, where, we've got women who are having to walk many kilometres to collect water. The next crisis is the fact that the water they're collecting is quite often from open wells or the water source isn't contaminated. So there's a really big health issue.
If you look at the Millennium Development Goals and the 8 goals that they've set up to measure poverty within Africa, and when you study them, whether it's education, whether it's child mortality, whichever one of them goals you want to look at, you'll find the basic foundation to be able to improve any of them is getting water correct. The dream of giving people water started nearly 20 years ago. I was travelling on a road through Kashmir, believe it or not, and I saw a line of ladies walking from the top of a mountain right down to the bottom of the ravine. It must have been 1.5 kilometres, 2 kilometres, maybe 100 ladies. I was just stopped in traffic and I just saw this for 10 minutes. Something in my heart felt that it's not right.
The sources are very limited. We have very meager sources of water. And that being the case, it is giving us a hell lot of problems, educationally, health-wise, and even economically, it is affecting us. Lack of water is affecting mostly the women folk. Education or development cannot take place without the women. Women have to be involved. So what would happen if those women are not educated? Many a time they are kept at home not to go to school simply because they have to help in the domestic work. And the most difficult aspect of this domestic work is collection of water. So obviously without water, there will be no development.
mela mu bawe bugala woni ba fanfan ka nyonje baaje to leje nyese mela ndes kola ngas no jaw bo tiken baaj bugala fan bugala ga fanfan yitu nde baaje mela mu gala men onon je mi baaje simit soni fu tok dal belem ko nani commencer kama joko nde baaje to para ya burako bana banni paren ke fo jutu mo mangole ni minge popi ngole marafe makila bugala bani bajumi di kawono ke mela fu nak fu wuje kolya njom di jute njom di puru bir tan sinde yo nyabe kola ngaw be kam joko be lañ be sinde wata kila ngedi jute tenile yoni wono tingoni bajana mana mojulo fonje fango mini tebu ke siwe ko biru sinde mi moju mi jawdi jare bo gal bo kila lisi ginjande ketem
bare kankanin ko di bugala be ci kolongati mela mesi kolongati mu setut bugala be ci kolongati bu kala aw be ngar kasaga ko nyak be aw fangu gal ukori fanga via banjale to baji mela maseta am manu baji mula mukani ke sumut dimba ya di enilaya Banja no silop tana si kalawt. Silop tana si nyesi ngole mi si banja. O kan simto du yuba. Baranya buli po ugala bu cilaw ba mi te yomi ka purana. Ka ti nyanye ba mel met e nyakka saga ma hani fo si pompas.
When I see the challenges that women in Africa have to face on a daily basis just to stay alive, just to be able to feed their families, just to be able to keep their children healthy. You know, they've been up early in the morning, walked distances to collect water, fed their families. They then will turn out in their droves to clear the land, whether they're 8-9 months pregnant, whether they've got babies on their backs, and they still will sing and smile. So I've worked with women and they just give me strength. But they do also make you feel extremely inadequate as a woman from the West. They inspire me.
It's quite common that where sources of water are contaminated by animals, because that's what happens in our rural areas. It's the same source of water, open wells, that community fetches water, drinks from it. And it's the same source of water where laundry is done, not far from the same source. And it's the same source also that animals come in to drink water. And that in itself has got potentials of not only waterborne diseases specific to human beings, but also animal sources of diseases that may contaminate the water and be transmitted or contaminate the water source and affect or infect the community around.
We have to be aware that if we're going to invest and put water into Africa, we have to think of ways how we're going to keep that sustainable and how we're going to keep that water project going. And the statistics are showing us that between 40 to 60% of water sources across Africa are now failing. And this means that a community will have clean water for a short time, but then after a period of time when it does break down, they have to go back to the old, unprotected, contaminated water source. And many times there are children and babies that are being born during the time when they're drinking clean water. And when they have to go back to drink the dirty water and contaminated water source because we haven't put a model in place to sustain it, it means that the very young children, and particularly babies who have very little immunity, are then hugely at risk of not just morbidity but also mortality and fatalities.
Water, which everybody knows means life, but it is also a building block for life. And any building block, whether it's a concrete one or a sand one or cement, needs water. The foundation of any poverty alleviation or development within Africa, first step has to be water, without any question.
You know, before the coming of Water for Africa, we using open wells, which is very dangerous because we don't know what's the difference between clean water and bad water. An open well have a lot of bacteria, fungals, it have a lot of rubbish falling into it. But when Water for Africa came in, they intervened a lot. They have changed us, they have shown us what's the difference between good water and bad water is.
For us, Water for Africa, we decided when we first started is not to do a hand-dug open well. And the main reason for that is that you're just not going deep enough to the deeper aquifers. I mean, the irony is there are rivers of water underneath Africa. We just have to drill and get access to it. If you're having a hand-dug open well, you've got the big problem that during the dry season, that well potentially will dry up. If you're drilling a borehole, we will often go between 25 up to 60 metres deep. So we're tapping in not only to the deeper aquifers, but in fact even down to the second aquifer. It's extremely beautiful fresh water, but you haven't got the problem where it's actually going to dry up.
I came to Water for Africa to give my own people good water, good drinking water, sustainable water that they can be using for their lives, for their health, obviously even for irrigation, gardening, into horticulture, all over the country. I want to give my people good water for their lives so that they can have a change in their life.
I feel so proud because when I see people are having clean water, because there was many diseases carrying many diseases, sickness with our people. But since I trained to be a driller, I'm very proud to help my people with water.
You see, the time, anywhere we go, when we are starting to drilling, they are coming to check what we are going to do there. When we are saying them there, we are coming to help us for water, they are very happy. The others, they are going to dancing because they are happy. They don't know, they don't have good water. So now, when somebody coming to help you for good water, you will be happy. Sometimes you're going to dance.
I think the biggest issue that we find as an organisation for Water for Africa is the crisis across Africa of the failure of many of the water sources that have actually been put in. Millions have been spent on putting water sources and water points and pumps across Africa, but the biggest crisis and the challenge really is the fact that these systems are not being maintained. If you're a donor or a government that wants to put water sources in Africa, you've got to be thinking of the long term.
Many villages, they are very poor. You cannot come and put like $1 million for them, whilst if it is breakdown, they cannot maintenance it. They have to be recruit and teaching them how to gather money for prepare for a maintenance whenever it's breakdown.
And it was interesting. I was very fortunate to attend a meeting in New York at the Clinton Global Initiative, and many of the African leaders were standing up and saying, we don't want aid, we want investment. Invest in us, train us, educate us. And that was something that was extremely important to us. We wanted to build the infrastructure in Africa, invest in our people, invest our time and money, and give the skills to Africans to support Africans. That's the only way forward for them to be self-sufficient and sustainable.
The importance of water is definitely very significant when it comes to the children's education. Then when everyone is educated, obviously you will be able to stand on your own. But without education, we only end up begging for charity.
We are not charitable people. We don't need charity, but we need skills. For people to be trained, whatever is given to us should be sustained. Because there are so many NGOs that helps people. Whenever they go 1, 2, 3 years, that project fails. It's lack of skills, lack of training.
Why a lot of African youth are traveling some through dangerous ways to Europe in order to earn green pastures. Why? The question has a very simple answer, and that is poverty. What caused the poverty is lack of education. So the international community can only end up training people from Africa rather than sending in this bulk amount of monies.
Water for Africa's team undoubtedly needs more funds to provide the sustainable model to drill boreholes across Africa. We have the right model, which Africa needs to support itself out of endemic poverty, but we need the financial support from the international community to achieve our vision. Which is why when a beautiful but simple idea was presented to us to gather donations, we just could not ignore it. But first of all, we need to find one woman, one human being, brave enough, strong enough to go all the way to Paris to bring this idea to life.
Pirano fanfan karana bar karana kumbo pankurewa bayri kan kotu me jume pirano mano mani bar wanan de nguru woni fammani imange.
I was a bit reluctant of that initially, is that can you put so much of a burden on one person to take them from what you've seen to a place like Paris? It's the two opposites. Poverty at its basic, lack of access to clean water, and wealth and opulence at its peak in Paris.
Kontan yang kontan fam kurimbo kaire wano wani wakami bugala bola li bofa bolla amke derambe no ma baj ma jetim na rimbo kaire kulangi no kaire wano wani wan ku utami di bugala bolla di wan ko ku teymi du bajena.
I'm sure she's extremely nervous because she's never left Africa before. She's never even left her village, really, before. So to come to Paris is going to be completely alien to her.
Mafumbo eja yoni jewom eja yeleye pour mi wonni baj melam senya mo wonu rande dimba yayi woni wala mi ka wono mpi wonni jaw eja yeleye pour mi wonni baj frambe nawfo pour ngawbe tuniye tout be jikero.
See the reaction of not just the spectators who were cheering her, but even the runners who were clapping her when they went by and who were patting her on the back. It gives me faith in humanity that people do care so much, and they care and recognise the importance of the work that Sane does every single day. It was truly, truly emotional. It was wonderful. I never ever expected a reaction like this from the general public, not just in terms of her participating in the marathon, but also the generosity and the overwhelming donations that we received as a result of this whole event.
If we don't have love for each other, love for the human beings, what have we got? Not a lot. If we don't care about the suffering of our neighbour, what have we actually got? If we don't care or love the people around us, then we have not actually got too much either. If everybody showed just a little bit of love for somebody else without any sort of self-gain, I think the world can be changed.
I think we all become conditioned to the lifestyle that we live, and unless you come out and experience and understand a different lifestyle, it's very, very challenging to see that what you're doing maybe have an impact on other people. That's why we try and encourage as many donors as possible to come over and to see and to meet the people. These are real human beings, just like you and me, my next door neighbours, my children, they're exactly the same.
Nanti baba tambo kaju kumbugala bumbo ndibugala pete sukembo yakame Afrika para imite wuno le nyele jamba wanende kane puru bugala bebu kana kumbo hani mo jingola ngani kammo kana kolo ko wa jata cende ale li jetu futi le je gumbo bugala ko le ka tike mela mam jakta manurana nyamu ne wala mbuga fanfa anu lele loptan baje puru na baronga fan anu wulu baje mela majaka am janu paka ko no sani wala Ngele jambar nge siya batu sana.